Hello and welcome to Rise of Industry. My name is Tobal. This is a creation of Dapper Penguin Studios in early access on Steam right now, and I believe Rise of Industry is coming out in just a few weeks here on May 2nd. Let's go through together. I can show you a bit of the early game tutorial, and I'd really like to see what happens mid to late game, because so far I've really only started out a few times and basically set up my first initial step of a tycoon empire. I'm going to create a new game here. It's going to be set on the experienced level, and if you want to follow along with me, you're more than welcome to. These are the settings I'll be using. Experience, by the way, the gap between experienced and newcomer is absolutely huge. So I figure we should at least have some kind of challenge to keep ourselves on our toes. Alright, so our region has been created, and we are looking at the town of Shepherdsville. Shepherdsville is the population of about 217,000 souls. And it is the first town that we see, but there are actually quite a few in the region. And the border of this town is inside of this, I think this is the light pink, is the Shepherdsville border. So anything inside of this town, when you first put down your headquarters, you'll be able to have access to and extract, because whenever you put down your headquarters initially, you get a full build permit. However, before we do any of that, we want to start finding out what types of raw materials this region has and what type of demand the town has as well. So I'm going to press tab 2 more times, and what that's going to do is show me any resources and then give it a label, so I don't have to sit here and hunt and peck around for these resources. I kind of think that should be on by default personally, but there you go. Press tab to show all that. It looks like we've got 2 deposits of oil, 2 deposits of gas, some copper, 2 deposits of copper. This is actually a really mineral-rich area, and it also has a lot of space in case we wanted to do any kind of farming too. So right off the bat, Shepherdsville is looking pretty nifty. Now inside the town, we have the following 3 types of buildings. Now, the entire idea behind this game is you are a business tycoon and you're trying to create a product and satisfy demand, right? So we could, for example, create wood by putting I think it's a lumber mill or something similar in an area with woods, and we could deliver that wood to the town. Now that's a straight up from extraction to the stores, right? We could extract oil and sell it at the hardware store. We could extract gas and do the same thing. Now some of the other products in the game have a bit more depth to them. For example, if we're trying to make, say chicken meat, not only will we need chickens, we'll have to get that from farming because they need wheat to eat, and they'll also need water. So as you get farther and farther out for these more expensive items, you're going to see a much more complex recipe and requirement, right? So wall panels are going to need wooden planks plus copper tubing. Well, wooden planks are going to need wood, and they'll be processed into planks at a carpentry center. So as you start to see, a lot of these types of industries get really, really complex as you go. Right, so we have a pretty basic set here. We've got fish, that's pretty standard, chickens and eggs, meat, oranges, things like that. So farming with the access to minerals we have here is probably not going to be the route we go. Now, wall panels is kind of an interesting target. Now, that's very, very long term, because if we look into the tech tree and I go over to, is it carpentry? Yeah, carpentry here. Let me close this pop-up. So under carpentry, this is a tier 3 technology, and it costs 1.8 million right off the bat, and it's going to take us 540 days at our current research rate to research that. So that is going to be a bit of a pain, because we're doing basically $100,000 per month into our research. So we don't really want to do the really far out technologies until we start advancing the R&D tree. You can actually level up these R&D investments, so we can start spending more money per month in order to get better investments faster, better technologies faster. We're basically putting more money into it. Now the problem, of course, with that is that's obviously a higher cost, so we have to be able to afford that. So I'm a big fan of starting out with extraction industries to get ourselves a nice steady base of supply. So Shepherdsville, like I mentioned, they need, at the hardware store, if I could stop hitting escape, they need both gas, oil, and wood. Those are all 3 things we can get immediately. So I think I'd like to start up a bit of an extraction empire. So Shepherdsville looks really good as our first starting city, but I will start to kind of pan around the map to make sure that there's no other areas that have a decent start either. What I normally look for is a town that's relatively big, like right here, Effie has a population of over 200,000. Now they have a more of a food-focused industry. They have a grocery store and a farmer's market. So tinned fish, for example, or sorry, canned fish, soup. I actually don't know what the recipe for soup is. It's kind of tucked behind here. Let me close this and move this over. So soup would require vegetables and water. Now water is a free, not free, but you can extract it at the tech level you're at the start of the game. So water is easy to get to right away. Vegetables would require its own crop farm, which would make it basically be a technology research. So it wouldn't be too hard to make soup, for example. Flour, of course, you're going to need wheat, which is produced at a crop farm and then you put that into a food factory, it looks like. So these aren't unattainable by any means. And you'll notice that the price of these items is pretty high. Now, fish would be really great. The problem is I don't really see any fish in this particular region. That's all out closer to Eubank, it looks like. Now, sometimes the borders of the lakes get a bit funky. There you see the split. So this is pretty much where the invisible line is between the Eubank city and the city of Effie. So we wouldn't be able to access those fish if we built in Effie anyway. So Effie has coal, iron, and oil, so it's same stuff that we have in Shepherdsville, but not as much. Springvale's a much smaller city. I do prefer to have a bigger city because that does help with your demand early game. Gwyn is not too bad. That's still a pretty sizable city, but Gwyn only has coal, iron, iron, coal. Independence, Arion, Audubon Park, Harmon. So yeah, not a lot of these are looking as good as Shepherdsville. The other thing that's really nice about Shepherdsville is it looks like it's very centrally located. There's two towns that are very close. There's Independence down there to the east or the southeast, and Benbow or Benbow over to the southwest. So we could set up a distribution empire right in the middle of Shepherdsville and take our goods wherever they may need to go. All right. Let's go ahead and decide to, in fact, build in Shepherdsville. We're going to put our headquarters down just outside the town. Maybe we'll have a nice, relaxing... we'll do this. We'll actually tuck it right in the middle of a forest here. There we go. Anyone coming to work will have a nice, relaxing drive, and we've got plenty of beautiful vistas around us. Let's pull up that tech tree. When you open the tech tree, you'll see that you have a certain amount of unlocks. Now, I don't know if you always have 3, or if you get more or less depending on your difficulty level, but we have 3 right now. We want to make, obviously we want to do raw extraction. If we look at the gatherers here, we have gas pumps, oil drills, and lumberyard. Those are all available to us right now, so we could immediately extract these goods and send them to Shepherdsville. And I think we could do an offshore oil drill as well. Yeah, we get that right away too. I wasn't sure if the offshore oil gathering was still a thing or not. So that's right away too. So we have pretty much everything we need to start our extraction empire. We're not going to be making a ton of money. We just want to be able to afford that $100,000 monthly investment into research. That's a big one for us. And then we can start to focus on our next tier. And speaking of that, which way do we want to go? Now, wooden planks, if we look into the tech tree under carpentry, wooden planks are the second tier row, or the second row of technology, so we actually could unlock that for free. So we could immediately start making wooden planks, which are in demand. That's 26,000 units demanded, or sorry, $26,000 per unit, and if you hover over the bar here, it's telling us that 7 units are demanded, meaning that I think it's every month, that 7 units will be consumed, and then that resets, or I guess that affects your supply and demand. So if you constantly satisfy that demand, I believe if you're right on the money and you always have extra, it's going to slowly go down over time. So we don't want to oversupply or oversaturate the market, or we could go crazy and just start delivering wooden planks everywhere. Brickworks is going to need sand and water. I think you can get sand anywhere. Is that the case? If we were to do a sand collector, I don't want to actually build it. I think you can actually build it anywhere on the coastline and make sand. So that could be an option as well. Adhesive, you can see, is worth a lot of money, but adhesive needs a lot of extra technologies here. So right off the bat, I think I'm going to go ahead I'll look at the hardware store too. Generally, the certain types of industries work well together. So we're going to ignore the farmer's market for a bit. But you can see here that we not only have the wooden planks, which require wood. I can move the windows over. We also have just raw wood. They want raw wood at the hardware store. So we could deliver a little bit of our wood to the wooden plank manufacturer at the carpentry center and sell some of that wood off as well. Now, there is a demand for leather. Leather can be taken care of by getting the farmer's market, or sorry, the livestock farm. And we could make mutton as well as milk, and we would get leather from that. But that requires water and wheat. So, a lot of these things kind of pair off each other. So I'm thinking at this point, I like that they want actually raw copper too, but I think copper would be best served going to another technology, yeah, but there's actually nothing else that they want. Glass tubes needs glass. Glass in itself, how far down the tree is glass? There's wall panels. Glass would just be a second level technology, so that wouldn't be too terribly hard to make. We could actually research bricks and glass. Carpentry leads to other technologies though, so I do think that wooden panels wouldn't be bad. I also think that glass wouldn't be bad as well. And bricks. So we could actually make all of those immediately because we could unlock all of those technologies. Now, I generally also like to unlock the more advanced urban road, but that should be relatively easy to unlock. If I go under the logistics, yeah. So this is a second level technology. It only requires 120 days to make. We would have to rebuild all of our roads though. Let's go ahead and do this. Let's go ahead and get one free technology on urban roads, because I like to speed up the rate at which things go to market and goods move between our suppliers and what buildings demand it. We'll also unlock wooden planks, because that's basically a single extractor demand, right? We need wood, and that goes into wooden planks. Glass needs coal and sand, and bricks need water and sand. Okay, so yeah, both of them need another resource, but we don't have any coal in this map. So we don't want to go the route of something that requires coal. So we're going to skip glass and go right into bricks. Now again, your game might vary. You might not have the same resources that if you're playing along, you might not have these same resources. So don't worry if it's not the case. The general principle follows. Find out what your town is demanding, and then see if you can satisfy that demand with whatever resources are in the area. And don't be afraid to go into the farming area either, because that is kind of lucrative. I just haven't really gone that way this time around, but we will at some point soon. So our headquarters is built. We have a full permit to build anywhere in this region. I'm going to put down some gatherers right now. We're going to do, first we're going to do all the deposits that are ready to go. So we're going to grab at least one oil drill. Now you'll notice that there are actually 5 deposits here, but when we place the oil drill, we can only build 3 harvesters at a time. There is a technology further in the tech tree, and it's under here. It's under fields and harvesters, and then down to +2 land harvesters. And I'm going to probably focus down that tech tree, because that is a really great thing to get right off the bat, because you're able to extract more of your goods. So our oil is down. We're going to put our gas pump down as well. No, actually, this gas pump is a little bit closer. So we'll put down this gas pump. Again, I'm just putting it down in range of all of these raw resources. If you notice, there's a circle that emanates from your building. As long as your building is close enough to the raw resources, your harvesters will be able to be in range and deliver the goods to your central building. Now, some buildings require you to deliver goods from the harvester to the central processing area. So for example, this is actually a little bit trimmed off. Let's use this for wood. So if I put down a lumberyard right here in the center of this forest, you'll see that I can start putting down woodcutters. And if I go back to the center of the lumberyard, you'll see kind of like the border is used up. A little bit hard to see. There we go. The green represents the area of, I guess, effect for each of these harvesters, but they all have little roads coming off of them. So all of these harvesters have to bring their goods back to the main lumberyard. Not every single building, not every single extractor will need you to build additional roads like this. Okay. Well, I'm just making all sorts of mistakes. If you make a mistake, you can press the undo button, which is actually pretty useful. Oh god, well it didn't delete my roads, I actually deleted my harvesters overall. Whoops, that's fine, that's fine. We'll put this here, and I'll kill a little bit of that extra road there. Alright, you know what, good enough for my work. Wait, why is it green and then not green? Okay, there it goes, it's all cleaned up now. I could have moved this a bit over to the side, it's fine. We also need to bring a road out from the lumberyard all the way to civilization. So I'm going to make it wrap around the hill and come in right here. So we've got oil, we have gas, and we have wood. So we have these resources, and now we need to deliver them to the town. So I need to make a road come out of our oil gathering spot. By the way, Q and E to rotate the map. So we're going to drag the road on down, and I'll do the same thing for the gas. Gas is relatively close by, so it won't need quite as long of a road. Now, the gas and oil, we're going to sell directly to Shepherdsville, because there is a hardware store that we can kind of put our own oil and gas up for sale. Now, when you deliver a good, it doesn't immediately sell. It kind of is like, you give it, you're bringing your goods to put on their shelves, and then if it sells, they'll give you the money. And it's a little bit easier to explain once we get going here. So let's go under the destination tab. I'm going to, if you see here, it starts out with the default oil, because all this thing does is get oil. So I'm going to choose the destination, commercial, and it sorts it all by distance. So Shepherdsville is 113 tiles away. And now what's going to happen is that every time a cycle completes, and this is basically the cycle, and if you hold down the Alt key, by the way, you'll see the progress of each cycle. They're going to deliver their goods directly to town, which we're going to go to get sold. We'll do the same thing here at our gas pump. Right, so now we have two of our gatherers that are delivering goods directly to Shepherdsville. Next up, didn't we research the wooden planks? We did. So wooden planks are going to be under factories. So we have a carpentry center and a glassworks and smelter. Well, we only really need a carpentry center, so I'm going to actually put the carpentry center right here along the roadside, because we're going to be, instead of delivering goods from the lumberyard into town, we're actually going to be delivering the wood directly to the carpentry center first. I don't know how much wood they need, so let's overload the factory, if anything. And if we find out that we have an excess of wood at the carpentry center that's just not being used, I'll send it on down to the city. Right, so we're going to need 3 pieces of wood to make 1 plank. Once we make the plank, I'm going to choose the destination, commercial, construction goods, which is in Shepherdsville, right? So it's the same general thing. We're basically sending our goods directly from the lumberyard to the carpentry center, and then the carpentry center is taking its good after it uses the wood, makes some delicious, lovely planks, and it'll send it to Shepherdsville to sell. Right, so finally, the last thing I think we unlocked, wasn't that under, that's going to be bricks. So brickworks are going to need sand and water. We still have a lot of money left, so I think I'm going to go ahead and put down 2 gatherers here at the coast. I want to find a nice flat spot that's relatively close to the road, but to be honest, kind of the spots are a little bit funky. So let's put down a gatherer. You'll see here that this is actually a coastal gatherer. So, for example, if we research the technology to allow us to have +2 extractors here, under, where'd that go under? Fields and harvesters. This is only for land harvesters, like the oil drill on land, or the, I think the extractor for wood, right? So coastal would be a different technology level. We're going to put down this water siphon. Again, you don't have to have this right on the coast. This can be a little bit far away. And it's going to give us our harvesters. Now, by the way, if you happen to click away and you didn't get a chance to build your harvester, you can click on your kind of your parent building and you'll have the tab for add harvester here. So we're going to put this, it's kind of a nasty, ugly angle here. There we go. There's one spot. Do we have anything else I can grab here? There's another spot. And the last spot. So we'll make all of these harvesters bring the goods back to the parent building for processing. We'll also put down a sand collector a little bit farther away. I love me some fresh Alaskan sand. Nothing quite like it in the world. All right. So there is our sand collector. Now all of the... Oops, I actually missed one connection. There we go. So sand will be delivered to the sand collector and then delivered out from there. So I think I will we'll have it, because now trucks are going to be going in and out, so you want to be cautious of traffic down the road. Now, right now, it's not going to be really a big problem. So I'm going to go ahead and connect it to the main road, connect you to the main road, and we'll go ahead and put our first glassworks and smelter right here, kind of between the two, right? Because it's going to need resources from both of these types of gatherers. And immediately you'll see that, yes, it needs sand and it needs water, and it will make bricks. So we will change the destination to commercial construction goods. We'll go to the water siphon and do the same thing. So I hope you're kind of getting the basic idea, right? You figure out what you are demanding, what's in demand. You figure out how to make that item, and then you start your business from there. So we're going to spend a little bit of time waiting, because right now we've basically spent 4 million to get our industry right off the bat, right? We're up in the air. We're starting to go. What we could also do is extract even more of the raw resources. We could extract more gas and more oil, but at that point, we're going to start oversaturating the market in Shepherdsville, and then we'll probably want to start talking about moving our goods somewhere else. So let me go ahead and unpause the game, and we're going to watch our empire in its early baby steps. Now, as we start to unpause the game, because I have pressed the Alt key, you're kind of seeing the production cycle. I call it a cycle. It's basically how far along your gather or whatever you have is in its progress of making whatever it's doing, right? So we're about a quarter of the way through the progression of this product. Now, the brickworks, you'll see the brickworks and the carpentry center, of course, are red because they don't have any of their raw resource yet. It will take at least one cycle for them to get the goods they need. Okay, so I'm going to speed things up with the number 2 key, and what I'll do is once we have our first cycle, I'll kind of zoom in so you can see what happens. Now, each of our gatherers here are going to send out their own trucks, and I think these cost money, if I'm not mistaken. Now, you'll see that the harvesters bring them, the ones that have roads connected will bring the goods to the central location, and then trucks will be dispatched from there, following the logic behind the destination tree, right? So we're sending it to the carpentry center. It's going to need 3 pieces of wood to make 1 wooden plank. It takes 20 days to do this. How many days does it take to make wood? 10 days. Okay, so in theory, we should always be able to keep this up. It's going to take, we're always going to be able to get a little bit of extra wood, right? Because it's saying it takes it 20 days to make a plank. It takes 10 days to get 3 wood. So we should always be able to supply the carpentry center. I'm assuming the glassworks and smelter here are going to be relatively the same. Yeah. So we are supplying enough goods to the buildings to keep them running. The number here indicated, the number on the corner of your icon tells you how much is currently being stored of that good. So you do have to be a bit careful because you can run out of storage. So for example, the slot capacity of the glassworks and smelter is 40 units. So you almost want to think about setting up your industry kind of like how just-in-time. If you're not familiar with logistics, that might be a weird term, but just-in-time is how a lot of manufacturing is done nowadays. So if you're making laptop computers, you might need certain parts, right? You're going to need processors or what have you. And the logistics of getting all this organized means that you get a shipment of 50 processors right before you start making 50 laptops. So there's no storage. You're basically eliminating warehouses. And that's kind of what we're doing here. It's not perfectly trimmed up, so we're going to eventually have an overflow, which we can deal with at the time. It's not perfectly trimmed up to make it perfect, but that's generally how just-in-time works. You're delivering goods right as they're needed for the next phase of development. By the way, I meant to tell you and I meant to show you how these hardware store and things work like that. So let me pause real quick. This is one of our oil trucks from our oil drill. So there's 3 trucks coming to deliver their oil to the hardware store. Now you're going to see here that there is one piece of oil or 1 unit of oil stored at this location. And what it's telling us is that there are 10 units demanded every 15 days. Now how much oil do we actually generate? I think it's going to be the same. Isn't it going to be on 10 days to harvest 3. So we're always going to be, with this production that it's currently set up as, we're always going to be a little bit under the maximum demand. Meaning that we should, in theory, always have the maximum demand at this location because there's always people who want more. They're not going to be able to stockpile any of it because it all gets consumed at that 15-day marker. So if we just wait for a bit, we're at day 25. If we wait till day 30, you'll see all the green markers come up because that's when everything gets consumed. So now you're looking and seeing that, oh, there's nothing stored because we were under the amount of goods that are consumed per 15 days. That was a super loud sound and it almost gave me a heart attack. The first step in our research is completed. We now have 10 gatherer storage, meaning that I just mentioned a minute ago that we have a certain amount of storage in every building. Now we can have 50 as opposed to 40. So your gatherers can kind of get a little bit backed up if they need to be. Okay, so we're growing a little bit. I won't wait a full year because that's actually going to take a bit of time. But let's go ahead and take a look at our, we'll use the mini budget for now. So last month was the first month that I think we had full production. We made $197,000 from our sales. The problem is that we are a little bit short because of the operating upkeep and the vehicle upkeep and the R&D expenses. So that is something to keep in mind. Now, one of the things I don't quite grasp yet of the game is vehicles. Now, from what I understand, when you have a good that needs to go somewhere, you're going to order or basically buy a truck. And you're going to dispatch a truck from your building, and I'm pretty sure you pay by the tile. So you're paying for a certain distance for these trucks to deliver your goods. And one of the ways we can tell how much it's hurting us is to go to the production overview, and we can go to last month. Now we're looking at our raw resources here. So we currently have a 36% profit margin for both our gas and our oil. Sand, water, and wood, well, those aren't being sold directly. They're actually being transferred into a tier 1 product. So wooden planks and bricks, which are selling at a 108% profit margin and 190% profit margin. So we're making a crap ton of money off them. The distribution cost is what it's actually, what we're being charged for moving our goods from, the source to the destination. So it actually is kind of costing a lot of money to ship our oil that far. So the question becomes, how do we make that more efficient? And I think that's where you might use something like, if we go into the tech tree, the basic distribution, the truck depot. I think the truck depot loads more goods. There's basically a bigger truck, but it goes slower. I'm wondering if it's a lower price, but I really don't know that much, to be honest about it. I've tried it out, and I'm still a little bit fuzzy. So we will experiment together, and we'll figure it out together here shortly. What else can we do? So we still have $6 million in the bank. Now, Shepherdsville wouldn't mind getting raw copper. That's one of the things. Oh, did I lie about that? There it is, under construction goods. It's not a lot of money. It's 5 per 15 days, so the demand isn't that super high. So I don't think that's going to be an industry that we focus on. Everything else is behind a technology tree at this point. So we could keep pumping out the bricks and planks. We are researching the next level of kind of the harvester efficiency, so we're going to be getting more raw goods here in just a bit. I could look at expanding into the farming industry, though. We could always put down more water extractors, and we could try to put down a wheat farm, and then get ourselves maybe a bit of a meat industry going, right? If we raise cattle, we'll be able to sell off that's actually mutton, not meat. So that's actually sheep. So leather, does leather come from any of the animals? If I go to livestock here, so cows are going to make beef, leather, and milk. Sheep are going to make mutton and wool, and chickens are going to make chicken, meat, and eggs. So really, chickens would be the best bet because that's a 2-in-1. The farmer's market is in demand of both eggs and chickens. There are no fish in our area. We could, of course, just grow potatoes or something like that. We could become a massive potato farmer. That is just going to cost water, I think, right? I mean, do we want to go that route? Just maybe to start a bit of a farming empire? That's just one more thing that we could satisfy demand from. We actually have plenty of space up here to the north of the city to develop that. We could put down a water gatherer here, a water siphon, and have a bit of a farm. I think we can do that. Let's go ahead and wait for this research to finish first, because we do have to go into the chicken livestock and research that next. So we'll wait for that to get done, or we can do potatoes. That'll only take 60 days to research compared to 120 days. So maybe we'll start off with potatoes and some veggies and go from there. So rather quickly, we have our first contract offered. So the city of Effie, remember we looked at Effie a while ago, and I don't quite remember where Effie is. Effie, where are you? Oh, actually, if you notice there, it pops up as on your map. That's actually really helpful. So it's going to pop up on your map to tell you how far away it is. And that's actually really, really far. That's going through Lone Oak, Spring Hill, all the way down here. So they're offering, they want 50 bricks. They want 50 bricks at a 225% price. And they're going to give us 1.66 million if we complete the contract. Now, if we accept the contract and fail, they're going to charge us $831,000. So one option would be to make the bricks in our current region and ship them over there. However, I'm pretty sure the cost would be very, very prohibitive. Although, the other option is to actually buy, I think it's going to be full build capacities or capabilities here in Effie. What else does Effie have? Effie has iron, coal, and that's pretty much it. What does Effie have inside the town itself? You have... Oh! I misclicked. We don't want to buy this yet. They have a grocery store and a farmer's market, so we could buy a full permit, and we could easily put down a brickworks, right? Because a brickworks only needs sand and water. So we could satisfy this contract and immediately pretty much get 1.5 million of the, however much it cost, was it $3 million to expand into this town? Now we are planning on going down a little bit of the farming route. So does it cost us any money to maintain our... I don't think so. I'm thinking about maintaining our, I guess, your contract, your permit. I don't think there's any ongoing any cost for that. So it's an upfront cost. You get a permit to build in that region permanently. So we would lose 3 million immediately. We could pretty much recoup half of that through this contract. How long does it take? We have basically a full year to fulfill this contract. And then we could start doing like a farming empire in the middle of Effie, because they have, not only do they have a basic farmer's market, they also have some advanced things here, like soup, right? Well, we could do vegetables and water and then provide soup at a pretty decent amount. I think let's try that. We're going to be spurred on by the game's contract system, and we're just going to roll with it. So the most efficient thing for us to do, I believe, now this is only because I don't know all of the numbers behind transportation, but I can't imagine if we're selling the product price, if they're selling 33,000, I'm pretty sure the transport cost would be more than that, or very close. So I don't know if we're going to be making much of a profit. So let's accept this contract. We're going to go into our region map and then do a buy full permit here, because we have to, yeah, otherwise you're buying a logistical or a gatherer, and we're going to be doing it. We actually need the full thing, right? So yes, we accept. That's going to hurt a little bit, right? Stings the wallet just a smidge. Let's go ahead and put down the extractors down here. So the water siphon, I wonder if I can kind of put them next to each other just a bit. Let's do here. There's not really a spot for you, so we'll put you here. So there's the water extraction. Let's give them a road to connect to the water siphon. Connect you to the road. Actually, let's make it come back here. By the way, if you build a road, you actually could wind up building them where they don't touch. So if you ever have some transportation issues, make sure you do drag that road over the edge of the other side, right? And then also we're going to need sand, which is kind of an awkward spot. There's not a lot of places that have sand gathering, so maybe we'll put this... Let's do this. Let's put the sand over here. Lots more kind of flat tiles here we can work with. There we go. All right, now we're cooking with sand. So the truck's going to come in here, deliver its goods. The water is going to come in here this way. So we'll put our glassworks and smelter a little bit between them. And there we go. So I will have to set up our kind of our distribution. So here's also of note, the the contract itself has a separate, when we're in the distribution section here under destinations, it has a separate entry. The wholesaler is the one that's buying or doing the contract. So make sure if you're trying to fulfill a contract, you're choosing the wholesaler, or from the contract menu, the appropriate wholesaler or whoever is basically running the show on this particular contract, right? So we're going to choose the wholesaler, and yeah, there we go. Our entire chain is ready to go in Effie. I will go ahead and wait a little bit longer because there's really nothing else to do until we get the next couple of technology levels. So we don't have any kind of a farm that we can do yet. So we're going to just let the glassworks and smelter go. How much did we make off of the... I go back to tier 1. Now, wooden planks were only in demand in Shepherdsville. Wooden planks are not in demand here in Effie. So we could just deliver wood, because there is a forest right outside town, and that would just be basically a free resource. They also want coal. So just to give us a little bit more money, and because coal is relatively close to the town, I'll also add in a coal mine. I'm going to try to make the trip as short as possible, so I'm putting the coal parent building here as far away from the edge of the resource as I can to make the road closer. Right, we'll put you... we're going to kind of upgrade your road a bit. By the way, the game does in fact build competition in the form of other types of buildings from the cities itself. So this lumberyard, I have no idea why, has been built around 3 trees. So, you know, more power to you, 3-tree lumberyard. We're going to choose to deliver the goods right directly to Effie. And that should be, I mean, we're going to have relatively decent profits. It's not going to be anything to write home about, but it's all part of this small flow that's going to eventually make you super, super rich. So the gas, for example, we're running a 32% or 36 and a 34% profit margin here because that is such a long run from the gatherer over to the actual destination. Let's also go ahead and do, we have enough money for it. Let's go ahead and put down a lumberyard just outside of town because, again, I like how close the town is to all of these raw resources. This is going to be pretty efficient for us, I think, because of just how close the town is to this particular raw production. So we should have a decent amount of money made from these goods or these buildings. Choose the destination and Effie. Now, my entire goal, the reason I'm doing this is I need to get our money, our income. We need to make more money than we're putting out. Now, I'm going to go to the big budget here. It's this button in the corner. I'm going to uncheck everything else. We don't need to worry about anything else other than, if we go to last 3 months, all we're worried about is our income to our expense ratio. Now, expenses are really funky right now because, yes, we spent a crap ton of money, so it's going to be a bit spiked. So we'll have to wait for this to smooth out a bit. But your overall goal should be to always have your income higher than your expense rate. So hopefully with the addition of these raw resource gatherers, we will be making more of our monies. It looks rather dire right now on how much we're spending per month. Because we have, like, basically it's still averaging the fact that we just put down a bunch of construction buildings. We should be making a good deal of money, by the way, through this contract. Now, we got the contract in June, and we can actually do the math on this, I'm pretty sure. We could... Oh, we just finished research. Let's pause on this. So, the brickworks here is producing 1 brick every 15 days. So, according to math, because math is hard, that's going to wind up being 25 bricks in 1 year. So, we actually might need to put down another brickworks and smelter. Now, if you see here, we actually have a surplus of both sand and water. So, we should be able to afford another glassworks and smelter without putting down another siphon or sand collector. So while using the last bits of money we have, ooh, we might actually go in the red here. Can we put this down and go into the red? We can. So we're in the red. We're going to, hey, you know what? You wouldn't be a great business if you weren't a little bit broke. Now, how do we mess with alternating or staggering the delivery? The way I do it normally is, let's see, deliver enough product for 2 cycles. I think it's going to alternate based on who needs what. So we're going to choose the second slot here. Sorry, it's a little bit, let me go back here. So it's I think this is basically each cycle, right? So this is 1, 2, 3 water extractors. We can choose to send the second water extractor over to the second glass, or the third in overall, but the second glassworks and smelter in Erie. So I'll go under factories, and it's glassworks and smelter 3. And this part here, where it says the 2-cycle thing, see, toggle the control for where the building sends its output. I think I can do automated. Oh, that's actually to warehouses. So a warehouse might be better in this case, because I believe your buildings can self-regulate and pull what they need to pull. But we're going to try to see how the extractors do on their own. So I'm going to just say factory number 3. So it's going to basically go smelter, 1 for you, 1 for you, 1 for you, 1 for you. And it should be alternating each time it gets a new resource. So eventually this smelter is going to build up. I also have to set the destination to our contract worker here. Production alert, yes, we realize you have no bricks, and we've got the technology for 2 additional harvesters, which is great and all, except now we're broke. So going into the tech tree, I am going to put down livestock. No, we wanted to go the route of potatoes, right? Potatoes would be nice. Now, vegetables. Are vegetables in demand at Shepherdsville as well? Because if vegetables... Ooh, what is this symbol? Oh, we actually have a surplus of goods here. This is telling us that we are completely full of water. So we're about to be full of sand, too. We could put down another glassworks and smelter here. And by the way, we're producing 1 brick every 15 days. Shepherdsville in demand is going to need 9 bricks every 15 days. So in theory, we could put down another glassworks and smelter here in Shepherdsville and continue to maximize the demand. Right, so I was going to look up if you guys wanted vegetables. You do want vegetables here. So you'll want vegetables, which is just water. You want vegetables over in Erie. So I could kill 2 birds with 1 stone, because Erie not only wants vegetables, they also want soup, which is just vegetables and water at a preservation factory. So that could be part of a chain. So let's go ahead and line these 2 bad boys up, vegetables and soup. Now, if we ever have money again, we'll be able to, to actually do this. There we go. We're already out of the red. So something is working. I'm going to hold tight for just a bit and make sure that we can, you know, sustain ourselves a bit. Now we're going to go down into the red, and then you'll see, you know, us pop back up as we make large-scale sales every 15 days. So no worries about that. What you really want to pay attention to is kind of your overall running month-to-month mini budget. There is another demand. This is for the town of, you're all the way over here, Abaddon Park. You want to have planks, but I do not have the capital right now to establish yet another kind of industry in a different town. Last month, it looks like we actually finally broke into the green. So we made $61,000 last month on top of our building, over our building upkeep, vehicle upkeep, and our R&D expenses. Now, to be fair though, we weren't researching the entire month last month. So it looks like when you're researching, it's going to cost money. If you don't research, it's not going to cost you money. So we might actually have to pause the research. I'm a little surprised we're not making more. Where are we at here? Total income, total expenses. Let's remove R&D expenses. I think this is going to even out to be us on top. Let's just give it a little bit of time and see. Okay, so it's been a few months. We'll do a bit of a checkup here. So we're almost finished with our soup, which is all great and all, but we don't really have the money to start putting down towards a vegetable farm. If we look at our budget overview, the last few months have kind of stabilized, and you're noticing here that unfortunately our current expenses are a little bit higher than our income. Now that might just be due to the fluctuation of sales, but it looks like it kind of bounces between. So we're kind of at a cusp point. So what I'm going to do is check a little bit into production overview. We're actually about to finish our contract either way. So we're about to get a bit of a boost to money, 1.66 million. But just going over our production overview, we're still seeing that we're pretty much in a large amount of profit margin. We're making 36%, 34% here. Wood is actually helping to even things out because we are selling wood off in Effie, while over in the other town, we're actually sending it over to be processed. And then if we go to the tier 1 section, you'll notice that we have a massive, massive profit margin on bricks, and we have a decent profit margin on wooden planks. So we are making pretty good money. We're about to finish this contract. We still have 148 days to go. So that means that we're going to get extra money. Ooh, what's Fixer Upper? What was this? A wave of buildings has come up for sale at great price. Logistical costs minus 25. All buildings are going to cost 25% less while this is done. Interesting. Is it any building that we build, or is it only when you buy something? Oh no, you no longer have any money. We take an emergency loan from the state at the low interest of 25%. These 5 millions need to be repaid over the course of the next 5 years. Oof. I'm going to take the loan and get an achievement for being broke. Yeah, I should have noticed that hanging out in the red would not be a great thing. Hopefully this contract will finish soon though. And if it does, I'd like to get rid of that loan as fast as possible. Or we can eat it and heavily invest into our own industry. There we go. So we just finished that contract. We got our 1.6 million. We could, I think, go into... Where's our loans at? Actually, I think, if I remember right, it might be under our headquarters. I've not really delved into the headquarters much. Where is our town? I lost Shepherdsville. All right. Go to the headquarters. Let's go under, yeah, loans. We should be able to pay off the bankruptcy loan now. Do we have to pay interest from this too? Okay, so it looks like the interest is only calculated if you were to actually pay monthly. So we didn't have to pay all that interest up front by paying it off early. So we're sitting at 1.44 million. Our brickworks here, our glassworks and smelter, have a huge surplus. So I believe we should be able to... Oh, you know what? My math is bad, by the way. It looks like bricks, 2 bricks are produced every 15 days, not 1 brick. So I actually could have stuck with just 1 brickworks at the other city in Erie, but that's okay. So in theory, we're making 2 bricks every 15 days. And they are consuming 9 bricks every 15 days. So we can actually put down yet another glassworks and smelter because we want to try to satisfy that demand as much as possible without oversaturating the market. So why not put down a bit more pollution? Wonderful. I'll go ahead and adjust this. Okay, so we're going to be doing the same thing that we did at our other glassworks and smeltery, kind of one for you, and that should even out. By the way, if you have a surplus in one building, you can in fact send that surplus wherever you want. So I could say, I want to send my surplus over to the glassworks and smelter, and it's going to spit out a crap ton of trucks, although right now, I think all of these buildings had a bunch of inventory, so they're actually all unloading at the smelter number 4. But yeah, you can actually transfer things between 2 areas. Oh gosh, how do I stop that? Oh, these are... I think this is a part of our trucks here? What am I looking at here? This is destinations. Oh, we're actually... Yeah, we're sending the sand over next door. We're going to cancel that order. And there we go. We're all set. The trucks were complaining because they were blocked up. So there was a huge amount of stored goods. That's why everything is freaking out here. We've got a ton of trucks moving. Once we get back to normal, we should be fine. And in a good amount of time, we've researched soup. So not a bad spot. Let's go back into the tech tree real quick. Now, that's going to help us with soup, right? We can get started on a bit more satisfying even more demands. Now, what else can we do with construction? We're already satisfying brick demand. We're already satisfying wooden planks. I think we wanted to go to the route of wall panels. The problem is, to go to that next stage, I think that's considered a tier 2 resource. So that's going to take, like I mentioned before, a really long time if we wanted to make wall panels. 540 days at 1.8 million cost. And that's with the investment of 100k per month. So I think, let's go over to chickens. We're going to keep building up our kind of our low and mid-tier industry first. And we'll just see how well that works out. And we'll try to keep it balanced between Shepherdsville and Erie. You're grumpy because you actually have too much wood stockpiled. How are we doing satisfying the need for wooden planks? They're still at a really, really high demand. You want 7 per 15 days. We're making 2 per 20 days. So we can actually go ahead and put down a second carpentry center as well. And we'll just put it right across from the first. Let's keep all of our lovely, lovely pollution in one spot. Changing the destination to carpentry center number 2. There we go. You're noticing here, there's actually a bit of a backlog. That's what I was trying to explain earlier. There's 10 stored wood here at the lumberyard. They couldn't go to the carpentry center 1 because there wasn't enough space. Right. Let's also set the carpentry center 2 to deliver into town. And there we go. we are trying to make as much profit as we can off of, existing buildings. Also, we did research the additional harvesters, so we are outputting what? We're spitting out, what are we doing? We're doing 10 days, we're spitting out 3 oil per 10 days, right? So we could be spitting out 5 oil per 10 days. You want 10 oil per 15 days. So eventually, if we do this and we go to 5 per 10 days, we're eventually going to oversaturate the oil market. So to keep that demand as high as possible and making as much money, I think I'm only going to add 1 more harvester at the moment. I don't really want to drive that price down. Probably the same is going to be true for gas as well. There we go. Right, we are trucking now. We are doing good. What are you guys up to here? Wholesaler. I don't know what the wholesalers do. I think they go from town to town. The wholesaler has random products that I think we can buy these from the town. This panel shows what the settlement is producing. You can buy any of these products, but be careful as they have a serious markup. Oh, cool. So the town of Shepherdsville is making, has its own water, probably from like a water tower somewhere. And apparently it has a copper mine. Oh, is this it right here? No, you're a sand collector. Where's your sneaky copper mine? You bastards. That was supposed to be our copper. Well, we'll survive somehow. Are both of our glassworks and smelters full? Holy crap. I mean, we could put down yet another. That would be 6 bricks every 15 days. So would we go over at that point? 6 bricks every 15. No, they actually want 9 per 15. Okay, so you're getting, let's see, let's go over here to water siphon. You are making 3 units per 10 days. You are using 1 every 15 days. So we've got plenty of water coming in. Now, sand is a different story. We're using 2 sand per 15 days while we're getting 3 every 10. Math is hard, but I think we're going to wind up running out of sand if we put down another glass and brickworks or glass and smelter, but that's okay. We can always get ourselves a bit more. I probably should have had these on their own road, but we'll go ahead and put down yet another glassworks and smelter, and I'll say 1 more destination here for you before stuff starts getting really, really funky. Now, we're getting to the point where warehouses would be the better choice for us, but we're going to keep it as simple as we can because warehouses are going to have their own upkeep costs as well. So I'm trying to keep it kind of all in the family, so to speak. Let's also send the new destination, of course, into Shepherdsville Construction Goods. Nice. Wonderful. Oh, by the way, that reminds me, I do want to queue up one-way roads. Under Logistics Administration, we'll queue up roads after chickens, so we know which one came first and which one went across the road for bad jokes. Got it. Oh god, I wasn't paying attention to how much money we're spending. We're back into the red. Whoops. I guess we'll have to wait it out and see if we're able to survive. Now, we made 453... Oh, just kidding. Where did this come from? 453 last month. Oh, we're in the red. Okay. We had 453 last month. We have 640k negative this month. This is how much we made last month. This is how much we made this month. Okay, I get it. Bankruptcy alert. We have to take another loan. But we are about to be over, I think, over 5 million again. Hopefully. Well, it depends on how much we make this month. Let's let everything be smooth. Are you out of goods? What are you grumpy about? Contract successfully completed. Production alert. Storage full, storage full, storage full. You aren't quite getting as much sand as we were hoping. Yeah, we are going to have a sand problem down the road. Let's actually transfer some of the sand from your inventory over to factory number 5. And you'll see these are actually just going to shuffle the sand next door. So we'll try to get this up to about 13. I'm watching both of these inventories to kind of keep it relatively even. That's fine. Let's go ahead and go into destinations, cancel that order. So all 3 of these should be relatively close together. I could try to research, and you know what I should probably try to research first is coastal harvesters before roads. That way I can get myself another harvester for sand and not have to build a full second sand harvester. Okay, fair enough. Where are we at in terms of what we've made this month? I really haven't given it much time. Hey, we actually wound up turning a profit last month, so we had to pay up front our stupid loan here, so that immediately hurt us in the wallet a bit. Ooh, what was that sound? That was the fixer. Okay, that was a land grab. So due to a lack of demand, a settlement has reduced their permit cost for a time. The settlement of Erie. How wonderful, because we already have a freaking permit here, jerks. Let's take a look at our production overview. Is there anything, and I often would recommend checking this every so often, just to make sure that you are still making a decent profit off all your resources. What happened? Is this only... Oh, let's... Okay, there we go. I was under this month. Let's look at the last 12 months. No, there's no way. Really? A 321%, 383% profit margin. So last month, we're at a pretty steady 50, 85, 39. Wood is basically breaking even. We're covering the cost of the wood in Shepherdsville by selling the wood we make in Erie. In Tier 1 goods, we are making a 248% profit off of wooden planks, but we're actually in the red a little bit from bricks, but that's because I think we put down a brickworks that didn't actually spit out any bricks. All the lifetime, we've actually made quite a bit of money off bricks, so hopefully that's a good sign. Are we oversaturating the market in Erie by chance? Hardware store. Oh no! I didn't know math is hard and I didn't calculate ahead of time. Now that the contract is done in Erie, there's nowhere to sell these bricks at. I think the bricks are just going into storage, aren't they? Oh no, I didn't think that one through. Is there a town nearby that wants some bricks? I completely didn't think that one through. No, there's 2 hardware stores. That's really, really mega annoying. We're going to have to stop operations of our brickworks completely. Yeah, I did not think that one through. Well, there you go. It was bound to happen. Can I go ahead and disable the building completely? Sure enough, I hope that stops and turns off the cost completely. Let's go ahead and kill the sand extractor as well. There we go. And the water siphon, because nothing we need now needs any of this, except for water, probably if we do farming. Well, that's unfortunate. I didn't really think that one through. Now, we could research the water barge, and we could try to deliver our goods up the river to, say, Lanoke. Nope, you don't need it. Nope, you don't need it either. So no one apparently needs bricks other than the town of Shepherdsville, because it is one of the bigger towns. There should have been... Let's go this way. This is a little bit easier than using middle mouse. I think you have to have a certain size town before you have a third building. You actually have a clothing store instead of something else. So that's a bit rough. I may have to go ahead and completely tear down the brickworks. But hey, you know what? It's fun and it's a learning process. Alright, so this has been a rather long introduction video. I'm going to go ahead and wrap things up here. If you are so interested, please do continue to join me for more Rise of Industry as we go. I am going to be sticking with this one probably until launch. I want to see how big of an empire we can make. I do love my Tycoon games, so I'm very excited about this. If you have a question or you want me to show you a specific example, please feel free to let me know in the comments, and I will try to set up that chain to explain it. And if anyone has any feedback or information about, say, the distribution stuff, I would love to hear your opinions on whether or not we should research the truck distribution and things like that. So thank you all so much for joining me. If you'd like to join our Discord for Tobal Plays, the link is in the description below and on the pinned comment. And if you'd like to support this channel, we do have a Patreon, which is available in the Discord or in the comments as well, and a Twitch, which you can subscribe to. Thank you all so much for joining me. If you did like this series, I do appreciate a like. I normally don't ask for those, but a first video with likes on it helps me measure what kind of impact this has. So it helps me plan things out. I do appreciate it, and I'll see you again next time. Until then, take care.